What is up, Sideways fam? We're back again this week with another Mk4 Supra video. If you haven't seen the other videos about this car right here, this is our Euro spec right-hand drive Mk4 that we set up about 3-4 months ago. Could even be longer, don't really know. Time kind of fleets by with me with all the cars that we build, but within the last few months, this car got built. And this car was an original twin-turbo Euro spec 6-speed TT car. I believe he bought the car for somewhere around 60 grand, had it imported, and we went ahead and dumped a bunch more money into it, went ahead and changed the clutch to an ACT clutch, went to I believe it's a peak boost manifold, maybe a Superstore manifold with a comp 6865 T4 turbocharger, billet journal bearing turbo, turbo smart hypergate wastegate, billet intake manifold, 90mm throttle body, and went with one of our 1200 1300cc injectors. The car made 630 horsepower on the dyno, I believe, at about 18 PSI. Okay, so 264 cams, non-VVTi 2JZ. I'll go ahead and get over here and maybe just pop the hood so I can show you guys kind of what's going on with this thing. All in all, he was super happy with it. This is the one that I flaked the red engine cover. You know, we removed a twin turbo, just redid the whole entire thing. A bunch of dope videos. He's got a super crazy two-step on this thing. Just beautiful car. The car is immaculate. Basically all OEM with some aftermarket rims. It does have TT brakes, obviously. This is the one that had the active aero. It had the LSD, had an oil cooler built into it. A bunch of other cool stuff that Euro cars get. So basically, he said, hey, Rob, I'm already used to the power. This isn't enough. I want more. What can we do on the best budget for what I didn't do the last time to get a little bit more power out of it, maybe get into the 680 horsepower range, maybe hit a 700 range, who knows? But what can I do? And I said, well, you're running a single pump on a factory hanger with a 525 in the tank, and that's great. You didn't run out of fuel. We just kind of were like, hey, we don't know what the engine's gonna take. It's a used engine. We have no idea what's up with the vehicle. You just brought it in, and I don't want to blow your engine up the first time that you go ahead and go out and go race your buddies with all your exotic cars. So what we did, what we're doing now is I just got him a brand new Powerhouse Racing fuel hanger. If you haven't watched the install video of all that, I probably won't make another one on it, but I'll show you everything assembled and together before I put it in the car. And then we're going to go ahead and ditch the factory fuel lines, go to a PTFE, steel braided, nylon braided PTFE line from the tank to the engine in -8 fuel line. So we're going to go from basically -6 feed, 5/16 return to still a 5/16 return, but a -8 feed out for both pumps. So now we're going to go ahead and put one 525 as a direct single primary fuel pump, and then a 450 as a secondary fuel pump that should be able to get him to about, let's just say 900, possibly 1,000 horsepower, depending on which turbo he's running. So we're not going to really upgrade anything on the engine setup. As far as the engine setup goes, we're going to run the same turbo. We're going to run the same cams, basically the whole entire same setup. The only thing we're going to be doing is getting more volume of fuel to the engine, which should bring the injector duty down slightly. And then we're going to go ahead and max out these injectors. And I want to say these are 1300s, not 1200s, but there's a lot of different things that we can do. I don't know if we're going to bump fuel pressure to get a little bit more injector out of it. We can turn that 1300 into a 1400. I don't know what we're going to end up doing, so stay with it. I'm going to go ahead and get the car on the rack. I'm going to go ahead and get the hood pop, clean up a few things that he wants to get cleaned up while it's here. We're going to go ahead and pull the hanger assembly, do the PTE fuel line, and then another part of this video is going to be we're going to be installing his HKS coilovers. So we're going to go ahead and show you guys how to install coilovers on a Mk4 Supra. Nothing too crazy, but I mean, once the wheels come off, I'll show you guys kind of what we're going to do about it, and then we'll just time lapse it really quick and simple, kind of, short and sweet, and we'll get right into it, guys. gnarly into this because you guys have already seen my fuel pump video, and if you haven't, then I mean, go ahead and go watch it. So we'll just time lapse this real quick. I'll get this done in a few minutes, and we'll move on to the next important thing. Alright guys, so we got the twin Walbros in there already. I've already Teflon the fittings and put them in there. I want to make sure, and this time be a little bit more diligent about the wiring for the fuel hanger. Last time I didn't have really any problems with it. It was just one of those things where I wasn't like clear enough on my video of kind of how this all works. So if you look on top right here where I have everything coming out of the hanger, you have yellow with black, brown, and yellow green. So I believe on the float assembly, there's no polarity. So either these on the side of these yellow wires don't matter, though the ground will matter here in the middle. So the black and brown, kind of a little self-explanatory, they're both gonna be your ground wire, which is fine. And then you're gonna have your other two here that are gonna be polarity wise. But then when you look over here on this hanger assembly, the way that this one's wired, since we're not using this anymore at all, it shows that your ground's on the outside of the hanger. So your white wire that goes all the way to the bottom down here, and it's not really white, it's more like a light brown, it's for your resistor. So just make sure, whichever way that you're hooking these up, that you match them on top so you can make sure that your float unit works. So right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and use the heat gun. I'm gonna slide over the clamps and I'm gonna start sliding them over the fittings, because you want the submersible hose, you want this to fit on here very tight. You can't push it on with your hand because it's kind of like a push lock style. So you're gonna heat them up and then you're gonna go ahead and slide them over. And I've gotten 3/8 barb on this side as well. So when you go to slide it over, it's kind of hard to get it over. So we're gonna go ahead and heat them up and get them on, and then clamp them all together, and that'll be almost the complete process of this besides crimping. All right guys, so first things first, obviously you have 3 bolts up here on top that's gonna hold the shock into the car. And then when you get over here, let me get the light on real quick. All right, so when you go over here, you're gonna see that this is gonna be a double wishbone suspension. So what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna first have to remove the sway bar from this whole assembly, or it's not gonna allow the control arm to drop. Then you're gonna have a nut, a crown nut in here that you're gonna have to go ahead and remove as well. You're gonna have to pop the upper control arm off of the actual knuckle. So the whole knuckle right here with the brake system will lean forward. And then yes, you are gonna go ahead and have obviously a bottom nut down here that goes through the coilover, your 3 bolts on top, and it will drop. If you do not remove this nut right here, and you'll pull the cotter pin, you'll get an open end wrench, you'll turn the whole assembly here to the right. And then once you get in here and you break this nut off, you're gonna get a ball peen hammer, and you're gonna hammer this cast area right here, so you can separate the ball joint from your knuckle right here. I know it's kind of hard to see from the way that I'm holding it, but I'm trying to record and explain at the same time. But basically, if you don't remove this and you don't remove the sway bar, the coilover will never be able to drop out low enough and give you enough room to pull the whole entire coilover forward to where you can clear the fender up here. So it is kind of a pain in the ass on these cars, guys. It's not like all the rest of the cars. Yes, a Mark III Supra, if you play with that, it's a double wishbone, I believe as well. In the rear, what you're gonna end up doing is even more simple. You're gonna end up having to go over here underneath the carpet on this panel right here. You're gonna remove this panel. The 3 bolts will be on top there. And then down here, you can just get a pry bar down here in between the lower control arm and just kind of push down with your foot. And it should give you enough slack to get it out. If you can't, you will have to remove the sway bar, but pretty simple, just single bolt up on top. I mean, it does have a wishbone up here, but I mean, it's just a lower control arm down here. So the rear is a lot more forgiving than the front. So the front's gonna be your pain in the ass part. It's gonna take you a good hour aside or maybe 45 minutes aside. The rear is gonna take you maybe 20 minutes a rear to install. So let's get the coilovers and put them in front of the car.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so you leave it like that.
Take
and then
this bolt out.
Take the bolt out the bottom and then it'll just drop straight down. All right guys, so while the coilovers are getting done right now and taken out, I'm gonna go ahead and just show just real quick color coordination. So the original pump that was in this is going to be on the white stripe, and the secondary pump will be on the solid bands for pump orientation. It's kind of weird back here, this connector. Looks like it's okay. And then as far as the hanger assembly goes, I mean, once again, like we did last time, it's kind of self-explanatory. I mean, black to black, red to red, white to this one. I did double check it on this end too. You know, it's the same colors, so everything's already color coordinated. It's kind of hard to mess it up, but if you're really worried about it, you can look at the pins at the bottom down here, match them to the pins on the top up there, and then those will match to the colors up here. So just another little thing. I'm gonna zip tie this all together and we're already all good to go to get it in the car. Okay guys, so everything is out, as you can see. We're gonna go ahead and start getting the fronts and the rears all put in. Old OEM shocks are here. Pretty sure the rears are blown. And you can kind of see how everything has to come apart over here. Yeah, the brake line will kind of get a little stretched or whatever, but you'll be okay. So you're gonna go ahead and remove the ABS right here. The wheel speed sensor, you're gonna have to want to pull it out because it'll stretch it even more. Then you'll just push these down to get them out, get them back in, and the car won't be on donks anymore. And just like that, guys, we are all in. I went ahead and removed the sub harness over there on the back. I'm gonna go ahead and run it so it can look all nice and clean back here. And then with my wiring harnesses that I make for all my customers, I already integrate a twin fuel pump relay system. So, I mean, unfortunately before it wasn't able to be as clean as I normally do it. But now that we're gonna be going ahead and removing all this, it's gonna be done differently. So I'm gonna go ahead and rewire all this and make it look all pretty right now. Look at that, guys. Beautiful, brand new HKS coilovers installed. We're all done, just finishing up, tightening up the last few bolts on this thing. All the OEM paneling's already all back in the back here, so that's always super nice. I bet he's gonna be super stoked on the ride because this thing definitely had blown rear shocks. And yeah, man, it's just really cool to see cars like this come back in to get quick little upgrades and go for more power. I mean, it's already been all set up and done. If you haven't seen the videos, once again, go check them out. They are up, and this thing is just beautiful, man. So freaking nice. All right, guys, so Eddie's car is done and ready for dyno. Coilovers are installed. Fuel hangers installed and ready to go. We already tested both pumps. Everything's working how it's supposed to work. Car starts right up. So the next video of his car will be getting back on the dyno for a quick power upgrade. Shouldn't be too long of a video. I mean, we're talking maybe like 6-7 minutes, just doing a few dyno pulls, figuring out what the last power thing is, and maybe getting some rollers on the freeway. But that'll go up probably sometime next week. So if you want to see that video of a horsepower bump from what we've done, I'll reiterate everything again, obviously, once we get there. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Peace.